So we'll talk a little bit about the wealth building aspects of real estate right now. And we talked about this some in the first webinar in the series around some of the reasons for some of the benefits of buying and owning real estate. So we'll do a quick recap here and touch on it again. So appreciation and signs to look for. I kind of covered that already. They're never guaranteed, but things like new shops opening up, new restaurants opening up, those can be good things. Light rail coming in. Maybe you see where a big employer is moving a new facility in, right? If we talk about Austin, Texas, which is having a little bit of a downward trend right now, it's interesting talking to my friends in Texas about what's going on and what they see driving some of those activities. But when like Tesla announced they were moving to Austin and just outside Austin, actually closer to Bastrop, the it those kind of economic indicators can show you, hey, this area may be about to pop or maybe about to experience some big things. Around here, looking up north into other counties, like up by Arlington and stuff, seeing things like Amazon fulfillment centers going in, warehouses, Sam's Clubs, Costco's, uh, can show you some areas that could have some good resilience and good signs of things because you can kind of leverage their economists, right? Those guys pay a lot of people to do a lot of deep analysis on where should they put stores, where should they put facilities to see is the rest of the infrastructure in place? Is this an area that can support us or will be able to support us soon? And that can be a good kind of leading indicator for you when you're considering where to buy and looking for some signs of appreciation, maybe getting to the front edge of the curve. There's really three ways that you can make money in real estate. And sure, we could break all these down into hundreds of different approaches and strategies, but all of those would generally fit under these three buckets. There's the rental income or kind of passive income, which everybody talks about. They talk about it as passive, though it's can be fairly active depending on how you do it. There is appreciation, which is fantastic, and there's taxes and depreciation. So those are the three main ways that you can make money in real estate, and they're all worth considering as you're buying stuff. Appreciation is probably my favorite. It's an incredibly powerful force. And if you look over any extended period of time here in the Seattle metro, King County region, even the Tri County, Snohomish, Pierce, and King, you're going to see the property values are typically doubling about every 10 to 12 years. There's a thing called the rule of 72, which is a way to figure out how long things will double at what appreciation rent rates. At 10%, they'll double every 7.2 years. At 7.2%, they'll double every 72 or every 10 years. So it's a kind of an easy little math trick, something that people will talk about. It's been helpful to lock into my head around that. But historically, we're doubling every 10 to 12 years here in King County. Now, could you pick a 10-year window and find one? Sure. If you want to be a naysayer or a downer, you could maybe grab 2008 to 2018. I haven't done this research specifically, but 8 to 19, 8 to 18, 9 to 19 could be a specific 10-year window where that didn't happen because it was such a catastrophic crash. But if you looked from 2000 to 2010 could be another one of those windows because everybody forgets about the tech bubble that happened. But if you look at most windows inside of the last 30, 40, 50 years around here, you're going to make money over time doing nothing. Just the power of appreciation in this region is going to make you a lot of money. So you're looking at buying a house for 800,000 today, and in 10 years it doubles. It's going to be worth $1.6 million. $1 million is going to be worth $2 million. 500,000 is going to be worth $1 million. Really powerful numbers, and that's without doing anything extra to force the appreciation, without taking advantage of any of the land use codes around here right now, where you can add additional units, where you can fix up the house and create sweat equity in it to really spike those numbers for yourself. It is not too hard to become a millionaire in our market and region, just buying a house and letting the market do the work for you. Then you start adding in things like the taxes and depreciation, especially if you get into the investment side of the property. You do get some tax benefits from just being an owner, but the investment side can really help you on the tax side. And that's part of why a lot of tech people have moved into buying a primary house and then moving to another house turning their past house into a rental house or buying a separate investment property so that they can take advantage of some of the taxes and the depreciation stuff to offset some of the high wages that they're making so that the government isn't getting as much of their money as they would otherwise. Those are both really good things. And then a lot of people like the rental income, letting somebody else pay off your property, getting a property paid off and adding to your social security or other fixed income, other investments that you have for your retirement is another great way to make money in real estate. A method that I didn't put in here because I was a little conflicted about what to do with it, but I will talk about it, is looking at another way that you can kind of make money or create money with real estate is taking out equity lines, maybe not a second position, but a first position. There are some investors whose strategy is to like get houses and just keep debt on them. They do that a couple different ways. They will look at refinancing as the properties appreciate, whether they add value or just appreciation happens, and then they take out more debt on the property, and the difference in the debt they can take out, pay off what they owed and get more. If they owed 400,000, they could go to a $700,000 loan. Now they got 300 grand tax free. Talk to your accountant. Again, we're not talking deep tax strategy here. Understand your position, tax laws change, all of that stuff, but they'll take that debt out on the property and get 300 grand in cash to be able to do things. Do their payments go up? Do they have to pay them? Yeah, absolutely. You can make a lot of mortgage payments with 300 grand cash. So that's one way that they can get some cash. Some people will keep the properties in debt, or they'll pay them down over time and then refinance them, pull a big chunk of cash out and use life insurance to pay them off. A little different strategy, a little more advanced. There's more to that, but that can be another way to go, that you can use your real estate to take advantage and create some money and income for you over time. Talked a little bit about this already, the new construction, new restaurants or commercial. Well, I didn't talk about new construction, but that can be another good indicator for you of some positive things happening in a neighborhood and leveraging some other people's kind of economics. If you look at, there's a lot of townhouses going in, that can be a really good sign. There's a lot of houses being updated and fixed and flipped. That can be a good sign, though occasionally a little misleading. Sometimes that's the only spot where people can make deals work for them from an investment standpoint, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the market's continuing to lift. The market may have a little bit of a ceiling there, and they can just buy properties deep enough that they can make the deals work. When you're looking at new construction, I really like to look at the larger projects, things like bigger apartment developments, not necessarily high rises, but bigger apartment developments, much bigger townhouse sites. I'm not talking about the 4 to 8 unit sites, I'm talking big apartment buildings that took up a few lots or a city block, or like 40, 50, 60 unit townhouse sites going in, because somebody has done a lot of research to make sure that that market's going to be viable and solid by the time that project comes to completion. There's still risk in it, of course, always risk. Do your due diligence, right? But those can be really good signs that some smart people somewhere have decided to do something, and that probably some guys who are working on Wall Street with a lot of really fancy degrees have decided that it's a pretty safe bet to put their money in the pot there. You can also keep an eye out for new restaurants or little commercial spaces, right? Houses turning over or new mixed use developments with new stuff, new life coming in, and are they being populated? Are the restaurants busy? That's another great reason to go at night and see what's going on. If that's the thing that you're looking for, are there people in the restaurants, or just the restaurants there full of empty tables? That's a little less encouraging of a sign as you're looking at neighborhoods and hoping for appreciation. The last piece I want to touch on in this is the zoning. This is a really huge thing right now in our area. It's happening all over the country. One of my former business partners saw this really clearly, really early, even earlier than I did, about what was going to happen across the country. He was incredibly confident about it. The zoning and what they call the middle housing market. Most municipalities are trying to aggressively make moves for this. California's been doing it. Oregon, Portland specifically, does some cool stuff. Seattle is on the leading edge. Kirkland is doing some cool stuff. A few other municipalities are following the way. Even the state of Washington as a whole has legislated zoning changes across the state that the individual cities are figuring out how to incorporate right now. It'll really take effect almost everywhere by 2025 is when most places have to either have their own plan in effect or they'll be forced to adopt the state guidelines. What that means is there's really no more single family lots. You can turn every single family lot into a multi-unit lot now. And in some areas like Seattle and Kirkland, you can even sell those lots separately. And this can be a great way to make additional money, make additional passive income, add value, create multi-generational housing for yourself. There is a ton of things that can go on with this. Most agents don't really understand this. It's not part of the agent education. It's a newer niche. It is becoming a little more standardized. So some agents are starting to figure out some stuff, or at least enough to be dangerous that, oh, yeah, I think you could do this here. You may be able to do this here. There is a fair amount of due diligence to do there. So I would suggest that you find somebody that's good with this. We talked about key things to look for around these in building a terrific team. So you do want to keep that in mind, but I'll give you a couple examples of kind of the power of this philosophy. A lot of investors do this. They're buying fixers and uh, turning them around and adding units. And it's creating opportunities even for builders. Part of why the Seattle market is so tough right now is a lot of builders of new single family stuff or townhouse stuff. The townhouse guys are largely not looking at townhouse sites right now because there were a bunch of fees added to townhouse and apartment projects by the city of Seattle to try to combat and create affordable housing that are kind of having the opposite effect. Shocking, I know, government creating something that has unintended consequences. I do think their hearts were in the right place there, but that's creating more people looking at the single family space, more competition with single family home buyers. What a lot of people are doing with these properties right now is either in the short or long term buying a property. So, for example, Seattle, if we look at Ballard, you can buy a house on a 5,000 square foot lot. Maybe it's one of those charming, 1920s Ballard Craftsman bungalow places that has a little garage and it's got the garage pulling in from the front and an unfinished or finished basement. And it's 1,800 square feet total. It's a nice little house with a big backyard. But now you can build a whole separate house in the backyard and make a lot of money doing it because you can sell that house separately now. So you can buy that single family house in Ballard. And what a lot of investors are doing is they're buying that house for, let's say, 700, 800,000. They're putting 80 to 100,000 into it. And now that house is worth $1 million. So they're making 100,000 on that house, right? Or maybe in this market, they're buying it for 950 and it's worth $1.1 million, $1.2 million when it's done just for the house. But then in the backyard, they can build a whole new house, and building that new house costs 350, 400,000, and it's worth 7, 800,000 when it's done. So you can buy your own house and make $500,000 in equity pretty quickly right there. You can also create a good amount of passive income from that additional house in the back. Same you are probably seeing as you're out driving around, specifically in Seattle. They're doing this a ton in Kirkland, tearing down one house and building 3 on a single family lot. You can build a house, what's called an attached AADU or attached additional dwelling unit, and a DADU. So you can do 3 houses on one lot, which is incredibly powerful. With the new state legislation, in some areas, you would be able to do 6 units on those lots when they come in. If you're close to rapid transit, doing things like that. So there's a ton of upside that can be done from the wealth building standpoint without having to be even a crazy investor doing crazy things. If you just get a house and control the land, the appreciation of the opportunity will drive the value of your investment up and help make you money over time without you having to do anything. If you really want to turbocharge it, you can take advantage of some of those other strategies. We love talking about those and helping our clients get into those. We just did one for somebody in North Seattle right now. They just bought a house in North Seattle. We'll be selling their current townhouse in Ballard right after that so that they can buy another house right away. We just helped somebody get a great house in Ballard that the basement can be separated out and created as like a mother-in-law unit, and the lot will support 1 or 2 additional units on it in the future, which is becoming a key part of their retirement plan. So we love looking at things like that for our clients, and definitely think that's a thing that you should keep in mind as you're looking at houses. What is that additional potential? And should you be considering that and understanding the timing of that?